So I want to talk about what happened with Zoochosis. I'm not here to roast the studio behind it, but there's a bigger issue we need to talk about, and honestly, it's been bugging me for a while now. It's not just the big studios like EA pulling the scrap anymore, even small indie devs are falling into the trap. It might even kill them in the long run. I've been a fan of indie games for years. I love how the creative freedom these studios can get when they don't answer to like giant corporations. That's why when an indie studio that I didn't know promised a horror game that would reference classics like Alien and The Thing, I was all in. I waited over a year for Zoochosis to come out. I was pumped by the trailers and the original gameplay loops and cool visuals. The trailers promised a night shift zookeeper game where you care for animals, feed them, run health tests, and deal with a mysterious parasite that morphs the creatures into monsters. All while the player character is infected too. That eerie, gory, eldritch horror vibe hooked so many people. The trailers even hinted at a possible security camera mechanic integrated with the rest of the gameplay, made it more suspenseful. It all looked awesome and the hype was real. You would interact with all different kinds of zoo animals, from zebras, kangaroos, or wallabies to gorillas and penguins. The gameplay looked very original and people were really excited about it. But that's the thing, when the game finally released, it didn't work. Not like a few bugs here and there, but it was so broken that people couldn't even progress the story. And that's what motivated me to do this whole video. So there I am, excited to stream this game. I bought it immediately to support a small studio with big ideas. But from the moment I start playing, things were just off. They promised over 20 storylines and multiple endings, but I couldn't even get past the intro because the game's decision tree was completely broken. I kept getting soft locked and leaving me stuck and unable to progress. Most players had the same experience, basically. The character wasn't reacting to any of the horrific events happening in the game. What's that? Excuse me? Why is my character not shocked? This guy watching his own body decay and seeing giant mutant gorillas, but he's just standing there. At first I thought it was bad writing, but it was the game failing to trigger important events like dialogues or phone calls. And it wasn't just that, like enemies were frozen, not taking damage. Every time the map reloaded, the loot would duplicate. What started as a promising horror game became a frustrating broken mess. But honestly, this isn't just about one game or one indie studio. This is part of a bigger trend that we're seeing in the gaming industry. Studios big and small are rushing to release games that aren't ready instead of delaying the game and giving us a quality product. They push out broken messes, then patch months or even years after release. It's like the gaming industry just doesn't care about our experience anymore. As long as they can hook us with flashy trailers and cool promises, they don't mind releasing half-baked games. It feels like these companies, whether indie or AAA, just want to grab our money and run. Here's the thing though, big studios like EA or Ubisoft can get away with this. They've got the marketing budget, the fan base, beloved IPs, and years of established franchises, but smaller studios can't afford this kind of mistake. For an indie studio, releasing a broken game isn't just a bad business move. It's a shot in the foot. Indie studios should be closer to their fans. They should be using their size as an advantage, showing us that they're about quality and community. But by releasing a broken game, they're sending the same message as the big corporations. We don't care if it's broken, you're buying it anyway. And I think that sucks. And here's the fallout. Within hours of the game's release, the reviews tanked. The Steam went from neutral to mixed to negative in no time, in like hours. Refunds were being issued even after the 2-hour rule from Steam. Their Discord was flooded with angry fans who felt like they're being scammed. Except for the Brazilian chat, where people were just having a great time. Review bombing is an important tool for gamers to provide feedback and show developers how critical issues and decisions affect the gameplay and what to fix. As we recently saw with Helldivers, after developers required that all players be linked to the PlayStation Network in order to access the game. That included PC users playing the game on Steam, many of who weren't happy about having to link their accounts together. A review bomb showed devs how pissed the players were, and that allowed them to reconsider and even roll back on some decisions. But that's for bigger studios who are able to survive this. Review bombing can be a death sentence to a smaller indie dev. And this could have been avoided. If they delayed the game or even released an early access, people might have been upset at the wait, but they wouldn't feel scammed. The community would have been more supportive, knowing that the studio was committed on delivering a quality game. Instead, The first experience many people had with this studio was that they released buggy, unfinished product. And this is exactly why the early access tag exists. It lets studios be upfront about their unfinished games, and players can know what they're getting into. People get to experience the game early, get feedback, and the devs get to improve it without having to worry about players being scammed. If Zoochosis had just launched in early access, people would have known the game was still a work in progress, and they wouldn't have felt betrayed when things didn't work. It could have saved the devs from all the refund chaos and given them more time to build trust with their audience instead of losing it all in one go. And it's even worse depending on the type of fan you had. For people who already knew the studio from past games, it's just plain disappointing. They expected better and now they're questioning whether they should keep supporting you. But for newcomers, this is their first experience with your studio, and instead of thinking, this game can be amazing and it has a lot of improve and the devs are committed to making a good thing, they just get hit with red flags. They don't stick around for future updates because why would they trust you? Big companies can survive this because they've got the budget, they got the fan base, and let's be honest, people keep buying their games no matter what. But for a small indie studio, one broken release can ruin your reputation forever. And that sucks because, let's be real, the game could become fantastic in the future, but who's going to care by then? Now, to give credit where credit is due, the studio has already patched the game just 2 days after release. That's great, and props to them for moving quickly, but by the time the patch rolled out, a lot of people already jumped ship. The damage was done. Most of those players who refunded won't even know the game was fixed, because once you break that trust, it's really hard to pull people back in. Instead, the first experience many people had with this studio was that they released a buggy, unfinished product. All that is to say that if you are a small game developer, if you run a small studio, if you're an indie dev, I get it. I get there's pressure. I get that there's a pressure to release as soon as possible. I get it that there are algorithms and relevance and need for money and stuff like that, but that's why the early access tag exists. People are going to be pissed anyway, but it's way better if you delay a release and make people pissed about the game taking a little longer, because people are going to know that you wanted to deliver a good thing and a whole thing, and you cared about the quality of the project and the quality of the piece of art that you're making, and not just that you care about the money and you'll deal with the haters later, you know? And that's basically what I wanted to say. Actually, I could talk about this for hours, but like I said, this isn't a dig on Zoochosis or on Clapperhead Studios specifically. That's just the most recent case of this shitty trend. If you'd be interested, I could do an actual review on the game, since I still really think it's a good game and it's worth the time despite the release issues. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Do you think this trend is bad for indie studios? Do you think it's good? Do you think I'm wrong? I want to know what your opinion is. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my next rant or my regular gameplays. This is a new format for me, but I was really excited to make one of these, and I want to make more like these talking head videos or commentary on stuff. So maybe you want me to review stuff, maybe you want me to talk about other topics. Just let me know. I love to hear your thoughts. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video interesting, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.